Good afternoon and welcome to Community Connection. This is brought to you by Family's Choice Electrical Repair. My name is Matt Wilkerson, along with my partner Greg Steen. Greg, I don't know how we did it.
Man, it's a special day
I
right now.
I don't know how we did it. We have some things that we need to talk about in just a second that were a first for our guest today.
That's what I was saying. It's the first. Oh my goodness!
I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what. But our guest that is here today, I just got to ask a question. Whenever he came in, was there a reason for him to shake us down?
I don't know, especially with the Wanda stuff too.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But at any rate, Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods. Number one, thank you for joining us. I know you've got a very busy schedule. And for you to even come on and talk about some hot topics and some questions that we have, we just appreciate your time.
I'm glad to be here, Matt. Greg, thank you for having me. This is going to be, I'm going to have fun. I always have fun
right.
talking and updating the citizens as best as I can when those opportunity arises.
Absolutely. Awesome. And I might add this. This is Sheriff Woods' first podcast.
It is. I know that is a shock. I know it's a shock. You know, I've been on just about every other media outlet that exists on this planet. This is my first podcast that I've ever done.
Well, I'll tell you, we are honored. We are honored. Thank you for that.
Looking forward to having you as a regular to
Outstanding. I look forward to that myself.
All right, awesome.
So
I'll shoot off with the first question.
Okay.
And everyone, is Marion County safe?
Absolutely. Marion County is safe, and you know, it's because of the hard work of the men and women that I have in my office. They do it every single day that wear the uniform. And you got to think of it in a big picture. The amount of population growth that we have, okay, it is astounding because when I took office, we were in the low 300,000. We're probably pushing 450,000, if not more. And that's just the residents. That doesn't include the transient population that we have. So we're pushing to 600,000 to 700,000. And you look at that, crime is not on this drastic rise as people think. It's a slight rise, but if you compare it to the population growth,
okay.
You see, it's either flat or we got a decline in the percentage per population, and that's what people got to look at. Is because I say this all the time: the new people coming ain't all of them good people.
oh, that's right. Well, speaking of that, let me ask you this: do you feel the armed society is a safe society?
Absolutely. Armed society means that the good guy has the gun and can protect not only themselves but their families and anyone. And there's numerous cases out there that you can see where an armed citizen saved the life of another human being because of some idiot that happened to walk into a restaurant, into a store, pulled a gun, and they shot the bad guy first. Now, it doesn't happen all the time where you save everybody, but the majority of the time you do. And it absolutely is, because right now what you're having is here's the truth. The bad guys are going to get the gun no matter what. I don't care what law you have in place. I don't care what people think. They are going to get it because they don't care.
Right.
So why are we harming the good people?
So I have an additional question for you, and we don't have to go through all of this right now. We don't have time. But if there's a place that we can find the information, I have a concealed weapons permit.
Right.
And I'm sure you probably do too.
Yep.
I always have this fear of being in a situation where, like, for example, I was at a restaurant about a month and a half ago, and at that restaurant there was a man that was outside pounding on the window of the restaurant, and we saw him walking in. I thought to myself, we're in trouble. If that individual were to begin to harm his significant other that was not supposed to be in that restaurant, when can I use force? When can I not? And again, we don't have to go through a 10-minute answer right now, but where can I get that information? Because I'm always have fear of me responding and then going to jail myself.
You know, that's a tough question because every scenario, every incident is different. For us in law enforcement, the way the courts, it's basically they put themselves in our shoes, what we're having to do, what are the circumstances. And then it applies to the same to a citizen. You protect life first. No matter what, okay? That's what you have to do when you make that decision. So there's no clear-cut thing. You know, you can research the laws, read the laws in which are on the books to tell you when to use of force necessarily. You can do it. But however, basically, what does your gut tell you?
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather leave this earth knowing that I saved a human life than watched one die because I failed that take
That's
action.
true.
Wow,
That's
that's
true.
strong. Very strong.
That is true.
So as far as me being a business owner, a lot of my friends are business owners, we're always talking about how staffing is a problem. Do you have the same problem? Do you have enough deputies? Do you have enough call center, jail? Are you looking for more?
Absolutely. You know, it's a good question. Let me thank you for asking it, because I've already mentioned the population growth. That population growth surpassed me a long time ago on the amount of deputies that we have on the road. And fortunately, I have great commissioners that work with me in order to get the staffing. I right now currently have a staffing plan that each year I'm adding 20 to 25 deputies each year for the next 4 years. I'm in just finished year 2. And that's in the jail as well, too. You know, you're seeing it in your business. Private industry's seeing it, where it's hard to get people to come to work. And that's a little alarming. You know, you got a lot of lazy people that are out there. But, however, in our profession, we can't take everybody.
Right.
True.
Right.
You know, when I started, we had applicants for one position, 200 people that put in.
Whoa.
You know, this day and age now, we might see 20, you know, because of the way the world is towards law enforcement,
Most
unfortunately.
definitely. Yeah.
Not only that, but because of the high standards in which we hold our applicants to, but a lot of them get weeded out long before the process of the questions of whether they use some form of narcotics, what is the criminal history, and you have to hold to those standards in law enforcement. It's an absolute. Now, I'm not God. I can't tell a person's true heart.
Sure.
You know, I ask the questions. We go through backgrounds. Is it going to give me a perfect human being? No, it's not.
Right.
I hope that we got it right.
Right.
Unfortunately, it doesn't happen all that way. But however, those standards must never should be cut. They should always be high.
Where, if someone's interested in that career, are you hiring only people that are already trained? Are you willing to put people in training, and where would they find that information?
I will hire somebody and put them through the certifications for the state of Florida.
Wow.
They can go to my website, marionso.com.
Okay.
There's an application link on the page, and they can go right there, click on it, pick the particular. I got job openings in the jail. I got job openings on the road and patrol. I even got civilian positions openings, ranging from IT to dispatchers. So there's a wide range of openings. Anybody wants it, put in your application, and good Lord willing, I'll hire you.
Awesome. Thank you.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Yep.
So as far as some hot topics right now, would you feel that the hot topic would be fentanyl, burglaries, shootings, child trafficking? What are some of the hot topics that we're dealing with right now in Marion County?
Really, it's all the above.
Really?
Unfortunately. You know, fentanyl's right up there at the top because the overdoses that occurs not just here in Marion but across this nation, and that stems from the border problem. I'll cut right to the mustard, all right? It stems from the border problem. That fentanyl is killing them. You know, when I get the reports on fentanyl, it's like 80% of the overdoses, it's fentanyl. 80%. And that is ridiculous, you know, and it doesn't take a whole lot.
I was just going to say, it is a very small amount that can kill a human being.
You take a number 2 pencil. Obviously, this is a pen, not a number 2 pencil. But if you take a number 2 pencil, put fentanyl on the tip of that pencil that just was sharpened, that's all it takes to kill a human being. That's it. Yes.
That is incredible.
And
Just,
when we, just that
holy.
little, yes. And when we confiscate bricks of it, that's alarming. That could kill a whole community in a split second. But I tell you what broke my heart earlier today and yesterday when I was getting these stats, what we do, crime stats, non-criminal, of all the cases, and I mentioned this with y'all off air, is all the cases that we work here in Marion County, my deputies work, 17 to 18% of them are violent crime, okay? Out of the violent crime, okay, 35%, the number one violent crime, everybody would think it's shootings, it's homicides. It's not. It's domestic batteries. Domestic violence and the batteries upon those individuals is the number one violent crime. And that's for every year that I have so far. And I had no clue in that degree. And any of them that are close are only half or less to reach domestic violence. And luckily, we have an outstanding group, and a press conference will be tomorrow out at the college for our new domestic violence entity that's coming to Marion County,
Oh, wow.
CASA. It's CASA of Marion. And we're excited. I can tell you right now, we've already had them since January 1st, and they are doing an outstanding job of working with us in law enforcement, and they're making a difference with our victims.
Awesome. That's great.
Man.
And you have a press conference tomorrow about that?
It is at 9:30 at the college.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so typically somebody in a elected office does not like to brag on themselves very much. Okay, I know, but here we go. I want to give you a chance to what I call toot your own horn.
Right.
Okay, because let's
You
face
know
it.
what? I think we should add that to the podcast, the Toot Your Horn section.
Toot your horn section.
Toot your horn.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So, you were elected in Marion County, and you were re-elected in Marion County. That speaks for itself as far as your leadership. So, I'm going to ask you this question: what is a great accomplishment or two that the Marion County Sheriff's Office has achieved recently? Say in the past year that you're going to brag about. Home crimes have dropped, whether it's robberies, whatever the case may be. What is something that you say, you know what, we're doing a great job here?
You know, you hit on one of them. You know, obviously, I kind of gave you a small picture of how crime is staying the same, and that makes me proud of the accomplishments that we have done in my office and what my men and women are doing out there. The deputies are doing to protect the citizens. Probably the greatest comment is being able, the change of instilling in the deputies the care, professionalism that they have, because this is what people don't see. I get little notes from citizens, either mailed to me or I get an email or they go on my website, marionso.com, and they will say, Sheriff, I want to tell you about Deputy such and such. Deputy such and such, it isn't a case where he ran somebody down and chased them and put them in handcuffs. No, they stopped an elderly woman on the side of the road whose tire was flat and got out there in the scorching heat.
I have seen those posts.
Yeah.
And changed the tire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Helped a child that was at school, the SROs. It is, though, that is the greatest for me as a leader, of instilling that in them to care about their community. Because the truth is what we go through in law enforcement is we see the true evil nature of the human being on a regular basis. But for them to do that and then turn around and still have a caring heart, that's probably one of the greatest accomplishments to me, for me personally, to know that I can pass that on so that they care and the citizens know it. And those compliments mean more to me than anything else. You know, I can give you a list of things that we've accomplished, you know, from having dogs in the schools, detecting guns and curtailing that, putting dogs in the jail for the contraband that enters the jail. We started, you know, that particular program. And rising, you know, our deputies weren't paid well before I took office. And they needed to be paid for what they do. And
Definitely.
working with commission, as I have over these years and still currently am, is getting them what they deserve. Because those men and women they're willing to give their life. Some have given their life. And that's what people need to remember every day. And it doesn't matter. We get called all kinds of names. You know, we get cursed at, we get called vulgar names, but they still keep going and doing the job.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me proud.
I will tell you this. We were talking about this off the air. You know, many times we have come in and we have my group, Synergize Marion County, has come in and fed with a lot of small business owners. Family's Choice Electrical Repair has been one of those, have come in. And I have said that you hear a lot of the it's not all negative, but let's say you hear the negativity that's coming from, oh, this cop did this, maybe there was a bullying situation, he was too forceful, whatever the case may be. But what they don't realize is the iceberg effect, that 95% of the people that don't really speak up that much love what y'all do. I have told Greg this several times. We are sitting at home on our couches at 8 o'clock at night simply watching television while you have an officer that is walking up to a car window asking for license and registration, and it could be their last time.
Yes.
So,
that gives me chills just
I'm
thinking
telling
about it.
you.
Wow.
You know, domestic violence is our greatest number one threat when we respond to it, for us to be harmed or killed.
Really?
Yeah, it is. Traffic stops is right there behind it, like he says. But we are blessed in Marion County with the community in which we have. We are so thankful for, one, what y'all do and those meals, and we thank you for them. It brings joy to the heart knowing that we have citizens who do. And I'm going to hit on something real quick. You said 95%. Yeah. We deal with only 5% of the community. Okay?
True.
They're the ones that cause havoc and problems out here on a regular basis. They're the 5%ers.
Right.
Sadly, the world wants to change the world of the 95% good people and
Right.
not change the 5%ers. That's what we should be doing.
Right.
Is changing the world of the 5%ers, making sure that they're in jail. But we are blessed to have a community like y'all. So
Yes,
thank
you
awesome.
are. Yes, you are. When do you want to eat again? as far as having our group come in and feed.
Well, you know who to call to arrange
Oh,
that. So
time to call Nikki. So that's great. That's great. That's great. One more question for you.
Actually, I'm going to ask anyone that's watching this right now. So the comments you say are Marion County SO?
No,
Marion-
Marion S.O.
MarionSO.com.
So if you appreciate everything that you live in a community that's safe, that you can drive to work, and you know that these people have your back, I'm asking you, please go on the site and leave some comments.
Yes.
If you're part of the 95% that loves living here and having what you have, please go on there and put the comments, because you know everyone likes to jump up and complain real quick. You know, as a business owner, you usually hear that 3%, you know.
Right.
If you're part of the 95%, please do that. And we really appreciate that if you're watching and if you could do that for them.
Thanks, Greg.
And so speaking of the 5%,
Uh-oh. Here we go.
so here's a hot question. So I don't even want to ask it, but I just, for that 5%, I'm going to ask on their behalf.
Roger that.
So once in a while you hear, you know, the negativity and stuff, and you're like, oh, well, that Sheriff Billy Woods, what is he thinks he's wild Earp in the Wild West? You know, and what would you have to say to them?
I take it as a compliment, to be frank with you. You know, because Wyatt Earp, if you look at the career of Wyatt Earp, he was one of the best law enforcement lawmen in our American history. You know, he not only defended and protected his communities, but he also defended, and people don't realize, he defended and protected the ones that he arrested as well, because
sure
he
did.
did not believe in a mob mentality, which I hate to disappoint people. We have that right now that exists in this nation, that
Sure do.
mob mentality.
Yep.
But he didn't tolerate that. He protected that individual that was in the jail as well, too. So just because I might look like Wyatt Earp and the way I dress, you know, and that's
It's the
kind of
stash. It's the stash.
it's the mustache. That's a stereotype, and that's kind of sad that people would, you know, think that that's a negative. I don't take it as a negative. I take it as a compliment. He was
Great.
an outstanding lawman, and I'm glad to be called it Wyatt Earp.
All right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, first of all, you know, we appreciate you letting us ask you some hot topics today, taking the time to come over here. I can tell you this right here, just like I told Greg, and I've even mentioned to you whenever we come to the sheriff's office and feed you guys, we take for granted what you do. This is not something that your officers or yourself were forced to do.
Right.
They voluntarily said, you know what, I want to do good in this community. I want to protect the law-abiding citizens in this community, and I'm going to apply for the sheriff's office, and they make it a career.
Right.
Not everybody can do that.
I know I couldn't. I could not do it. I mean, you're there just enforcing the law. You're not dictating the law. You're just following what has already been in place and talking to the person, and they're screaming and yelling, you're calling every name. That would not be for me.
Well, I appreciate it, gentlemen.
Well, thank you for what you do. We look forward to having you in for a third term. I'm just telling you that. Okay. So, at any rate, as we wrap up, thank you for that.
Appreciate your
Sheriff
time here today.
Billy Woods, Marion County Sheriff, has done an amazing job. He has an amazing staff behind him. You are about as good as your team, and I can tell you every sheriff deputy that I have run into, whether it's in a restaurant or whatever the case may be, polite, willing to help. You've got a great team over there.
Thank you.
And we appreciate your service.
And if you appreciate it too, please go on there and leave those comments. That is what my ask for you today is go back there and leave the positive comments.
Yes.
Be the 95%.
They definitely appreciate it. They definitely appreciate it. Well, thank you for watching Community Connections. Once again, this is brought to you by Family's Choice Electrical Repair, Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods. We thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.